Hello, welcome back to Ajita Nathaki. I believe this is the third episode. For today's topic, I was chatting with a friend of mine, and he's familiar with the other two topics, and I asked him for what would be another two good topics, and he suggested the idea of answering the question of hallucinogenic drugs and substances such as uh, LSD, peyote, mushrooms, those kinds of things. And so I've never experienced any of those, but um, uh, I'm going to explain how I see them, how I perceive them. And I'm going to give you an analogy of something somewhat similar, not, I mean, not really similar in that sense, but I think the analogy is appropriate. And that is uh, men who are interested in weightlifting and want to bulk up and build muscle. Um, there's many different ways of going about it. Of course, it involves some heavy weightlifting and a lot of work. Sometimes it requires um, a special diet, certain exercises, to focus on the particular areas of the body that the individual wants to develop. And so it takes time, it takes effort, it's a lot of work if that's what you're interested in. Some individuals, in order to save time and to compensate for some genetic issues that maybe are not present in their body, they just don't have the makeup for it genetically or the build, they may engage in taking steroids or similar substances, and the outcome is that they'll have pretty quick results. They will bulk up. Of course, they still have to exercise and lift weights. They won't have to work as hard. It won't take as long, and they get more immediate results. But we all know what the side effect is, and the use of steroids has some very serious detrimental effects on the body, um, uh, causing anywhere from issues with the endocrine system, brain function. Some individuals have developed cancers. Others have developed some sexual disorders and other unwanted consequences. So, the use of steroids for that very reason is illegal. All right. Um, and it has to be done by doctors in a very particular way, for certain circumstances. So we all know that the use of steroids is just not the right way to go about it. Really to do it, it would be, right diet, right exercise, and a healthy regimen. And your body type may or may not have, the right predisposition for it. Um, but regarding the use of hallucinogens, some individuals will say, but they provide, an opportunity to witness the divine. They give insight into what it means to be a spirit. It opens the doors. As the doors that the music group and Aldous Huxley would say, opening the doors to the perception of other realities. Um, you'd have to really consider, well, what is the purpose, right? If the real intent is to connect to spirit, then the real way to go about it is to live spiritually. Um, to have a vision does not mean that someone is spiritually developed, on the right path, or anything of those types of deals. It basically means you saw something, and that seeing something could simply be the manipulation of chemical interactions in the neurons of the brain, which impact vision and comprehension and cognition. So, can one really say that it's a divine experience or a a body reaction to the presence of foreign chemicals that impair brain function and cause these other side effects. Um, so I would say instead consider, what does it mean to have divine experience? Um, could you trust something that was caused by a chemical reaction in the brain, or would you trust that when you, in perfect health, in perfect awareness, in full I don't want to use the word control, but in full capability of your cognitive functions, of your awareness, your thought, your breathing, if in that condition you had a spiritual insight, or you experienced something divine, would that not be much more meaningful to you and more real, because it's not artificial? It's You've earned it in a sense, right? Um, but the individuals will insist that, yeah, but it's a quick thing, it's easy, and the reality is it's having divine experience is not difficult. It does take time, it does take dedication, um, and but anybody can have it. Anybody can have that experience. You just have to dedicate your purpose and your life in that way. Um, I'm not going to go into particular examples of visions of or other divine experiences that I have had, but instead I'll talk about how to live your life in such a way that you will invite those experiences into your life. Often people will say that, oh, well, you have to meditate, it's a daily thing, and it takes a lot of practice. And some folks, especially those with ADHD or some other hyperactivity disorders, they just cannot sit still for a long enough period of time, or their mind just goes racing, every time that they make an attempt at it. So if that's the case, all the more reason you need to sit down and meditate and just sit still. And notice that I'm raising my voice because, oh my God, that's so patently obvious that that's what you need to do. Making the excuse of, I just can't control myself, that's just really pointless. Okay, you're not convincing anybody. Sit still. Relax your breathing. Focus on your breathing. You don't have to stop thinking. That's not possible. Matter of fact, any individual who tells you that they stop thinking altogether is lying to you. Only the masters, and by the way, I do not consider myself a master at meditation, but only the masters of that practice can really claim no thought. And by the way, I'm talking in the world, there are probably 5 individuals, and none of you know any of them. Okay, and trust me, if you're listening to this and you're a spiritual individual and you've been to many workshops and meditation sessions and weekend retreats and week-long retreats and I don't know what else, you have never met anybody who stopped thinking in meditation. It has not happened. And I'm saying this, it would be like meeting somebody who won the lotto 5 times. Okay, I'm sure none of you have done that either. So it's likely not happened. So then what does it mean to be in meditation? Uh, it basically means to draw your attention inward, to be aware of self, to, in essence, draw out your higher consciousness. And a meditation where you close your eyes and you try to deprive yourself of distractions, that would be a good way to start doing it. And by all means, if you've started a practice of meditation, continue it. But the goal will be to be in that state in every waking moment. So as you interact with other people, you see them, and not literally see them, but you are aware that they are a spiritual being. You retain in your consciousness the knowledge that every human being is an attempt by God to express him or herself in human form. So you every interaction you are interacting with God. If you can retain that consciousness in your daily waking moments, in your interactions with everyone, then you're going in the right direction. Having that awareness, that level of consciousness of everyone's divinity, will bring into your life divine experiences, and those will be real. Those will be meaningful. Those will be something that you can rely on, that you will be able to remember. The visions that I have had, I still remember. That I'm thinking of several right now, but I still retain the memory of those individual visions, the sounds that I heard. All of those experiences are still retained within me. Whereas if I had been taking some kind of drug, I don't think that I would remember much of anything other than maybe the feeling. And I don't know, I've never taken those drugs. Um, so in my, I'll just come on and say it. I walk around everywhere in basically walking meditation, which is to say that I am always consciously aware of my divine self expressing itself through this body. Um, and human emotions, human perspectives, of course, still come into play. Uh, but my higher self decides, which ones to use at the right moment. And as I shared in another video, I will choose sometimes the expression of anger for a particular purpose. Um, but more often than not, I am just in placid contemplation of what's happening around me, and I'm not overjoyed, uh, depressed, saddened by major news or events happening in my life or the world around me. It's basically what it is. My daughter, if we have a trip going somewhere that she's really looking forward to, will ask me, Papi, are you excited about it? And the answer is no. I'm not disappointed about it either. It's just it has little to no impact on me emotionally. And you may think, well, what kind of a life is that? Uh, it's a placid, content life with no upheavals, uh, with full satisfaction, um, no, basically little to no disappointment. I do not experience depression. Um, I'm very content with my life and how I serve, and the work that I do, which I see it also as a way of serving. Um, so I have no need of hallucinogens or any other kind of drugs. I rarely, and I mean in a year, maybe I will swallow alcohol 3 times, five tops, and never to get inebriated. If I drink, it'll be for the taste, if a particular meal calls for it. Um, Not because I want to get mentally impaired or somehow, what's the word here? It doesn't even come to mind. Uh, Before you get drunk, I cannot remember the term. Anyway, that feeling where you're not really drunk, but you have a little bit of alcohol in your system. I don't even drink for that. If I do, it's strictly for the taste. It's for the particular meal, and no amount of drinking around me can get me to drink. I'm not a social drinker. I do not respond to peer pressure in the slightest. Um, so I'm pretty grounded and centered in pretty much every moment. Um, I could share some other instances of my centeredness, but they would give away my career type, and so I'd rather not do that. Let's just say that I've had to deal in situations with very irate individuals, um, in some instance, police officers, other people in similar rank or higher rank situations than myself, with a lot of stress. Conditions in which other people would be highly stressed. And my colleagues have observed me and noted that I remain placid and unmoved, unflinching, really, in those conditions. And that's because I'm always fully aware. It is because I live my life that way that divine experiences happen, and visions occur. And those are granted because of prayer, because of dedication, because you live your life that way, not because you took some drug or a mushroom. Those are meaningless, really. So live the spiritual life. Be fully aware as much as you can that you are a divine being, that the people you interact with are also divine, and that we're here for a purpose, and that is to grow, to develop, and to return to the source. And if you help others return to the source, then blessings will come your way. Uh, that's basically what I have to say about the use of those items. So basically, stay away. They don't help you. They you won't not gain any spiritual insight. You will not grow spiritually. If anything, it'll retard your development and be a harm to you. So stay away. All right. Thank you.